Gracie was a tiny wisp of a girl, all of 10 years old, with eyes that held the weight of the world. 8 months ago, her world had shattered when her mother, lost in her own grief after Gracie's father died, had pushed her out the door and into the cold, unforgiving streets. She learned to survive on scraps, her stomach always rumbling. The nights were the hardest, the cold seeping into her bones as she huddled in doorways, fear her only companion. She missed her father desperately, the memory of his warm hugs a fading comfort. One chilly evening, Gracie found herself cornered in a dark alley. 2 older boys, their faces cruel in the dim light, blocked her escape. Fear choked her voice, her small frame trembling uncontrollably. They tied her hands together with a rough rope, shoving her into a bush behind a dumpster. Gracie squeezed her eyes shut, tears streaming down her face. She was so scared, so alone. "Daddy," she whispered, clinging to the memory of his love. "Where are you?" Dylan, a lanky 14-year-old with a kind face and a heart even bigger, often took the shortcut behind the bakery on his way home from school. It saved him a good 10 minutes, time he usually spent daydreaming about joining the basketball team. Today, however, something made him pause. A soft whimpering barely audible above the city's din reached his ears. He stopped, listening intently. The sound was coming from the bushes near the dumpster, a place he usually avoided. Curiosity overriding his apprehension, Dylan cautiously approached the bushes. Pushing aside the branches, he gasped at the sight before him. A small girl, her hands bound, huddled in the darkness, tears streaming down her face. She looked up at him, her eyes wide with terror. Hey, it's okay," Dylan said softly, his voice calm despite the alarm bells ringing in his head. "I'm here to help you." He quickly untied the rope binding her wrists, his heart aching at the sight of the raw red marks on her delicate skin. Dylan gently helped the girl, Gracie, to her feet. She was small, even for 10 years old, and trembled with fear and cold. He draped his jacket over her thin shoulders, leading her out of the alley and into the warm evening light. "Where do you live?" he asked, his voice kind. Gracie just shook her head, her eyes downcast. He knew then that she was homeless, just another lost soul in their sprawling city. Dylan couldn't abandon her, not when she looked at him with those sad, lost eyes. "Come home with me," he said, the decision springing from a place of deep compassion he didn't know he possessed. "My mum will know what to do." He held out his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, Gracie took it, her small hand swallowed by his. They walked in silence to Dylan's house, a small but cozy home filled with the aroma of baking bread. Dylan's mum, a woman with a warm smile and eyes that mirrored Dylan's kindness, gasped when she saw them. Dylan explained, his voice rushed, about finding Gracie, about the fear in her eyes. Without hesitation, Dylan's mum, Mrs. Jackson, welcomed Gracie into their home. A hot bath, a warm meal, and a soft bed. Simple comforts that felt like unimaginable luxuries to Gracie. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe, surrounded by a warmth that had nothing to do with the crackling fire in the hearth. The Jacksons contacted the authorities, but no one came forward to claim Gracie. She became a part of their family, her presence filling the quiet spaces left by Dylan's older sister, who had moved away to start her own life. Gracie blossomed under their love and care. Her laughter, once rare, became a familiar melody in the house. Years spun by like fallen leaves in the wind. Gracie and Dylan navigated the choppy waters of adolescence together. They studied together, their laughter echoing from Dylan's room. They shared secrets, whispered dreams under the cloak of night. Dylan, protective as an older brother, was always there for Gracie, a steady presence in her life. Their bond, forged in the crucible of Gracie's difficult past and nurtured by the Jacksons' love, deepened into an unbreakable connection. They were more than just friends, more than siblings. They were two souls, kindred spirits, who had found solace and strength in each other's presence. High school was a whirlwind of change. Dylan, now a tall, athletic senior, was the star of the basketball team, his skills on the court drawing admiring glances from everyone. Gracie, who had blossomed into a beautiful young woman with her father's kind eyes and her mother's quick wit, was the quiet but brilliant artist, her sketchbook filled with vibrant portraits and breathtaking landscapes. Despite their different paths, their connection remained as strong as ever. They still shared everything, their conversations now filled with the anxieties and excitement of young adulthood. It was during one of these late-night talks, huddled under a blanket fort they had built in the living room, that Dylan realized he was in love with Gracie. Not a brotherly love, but a love that made his heart race and his palms sweat. He loved her strength, her resilience, the way her eyes crinkled when she laughed at his jokes. He wanted to protect her, to cherish her, to spend the rest of his life making her smile. One warm spring evening, under a sky ablaze with stars, Dylan confessed his feelings. To his surprise, Gracie admitted she felt the same way. Their first kiss was hesitant, tentative, but it sparked a fire in their hearts, a love so fierce and true that it defied explanation. Life, however, had a way of disrupting even the most carefully laid plans. Tragedy struck the Jackson family when Dylan's older sister, Sarah, died in a car accident, leaving behind 2 young children. The news hit them like a physical blow, stealing their breath and leaving them reeling in grief. Gracie, ever the pillar of strength, stood by Dylan's side, her heart breaking for him and his family. She helped comfort Sarah's children, showering them with love and providing a sense of normalcy in their upturned world. The Jacksons, despite their grief, opened their hearts and home once again, taking in their grandchildren and raising them as their own. It was a difficult time, fraught with emotional turmoil and sleepless nights. Yet, through it all, Gracie and Dylan's love for each other remained a constant, a beacon of hope in their storm-tossed world. They learned to navigate the challenges of shared grief, of raising children at a young age, of balancing their dreams with the demands of their new reality. There were arguments, moments of doubt, and days when exhaustion threatened to overwhelm them. But they faced each obstacle together, their love the invisible thread that bound them. Section 7, A Promise Kept. The years that followed were a blur of diapers, school plays, and stolen kisses. Dylan, true to his word, proposed to Gracie on her 21st birthday. It was a simple affair, just the 2 of them at their favorite spot in the park where they used to share picnic lunches. "Gracie," Dylan said, his voice thick with emotion as he got down on one knee, the setting sun casting a golden glow around them. "You are the strongest, kindest, most beautiful woman I know. You saved me the day you walked into my life. Will you do me the incredible honor of becoming my wife?" Tears streamed down Gracie's face, tears of joy and overwhelming love. "Yes," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Yes, 1,000 times yes." Dylan slipped the ring, a delicate silver band he had saved for months to buy, onto her finger, sealing their love with a promise. Section 8, Building Their Dreams. They were married the following spring, a joyous celebration filled with laughter, tears, and the unwavering support of their family and friends. Their love story, once whispered in hushed tones, became a legend in their small community, a testament to the enduring power of kindness, compassion, and the unbreakable bond between 2 souls destined to find each other. Life wasn't always easy. They faced financial struggles, the challenges of raising a blended family, and the everyday stresses that came with building a life together. But they faced each obstacle head-on, their love the bedrock upon which they built their dreams. Dylan worked construction, his strong hands that once dribbled basketballs now skilled at building homes. Gracie, with the support of Dylan and the Jacksons, pursued her passion for art, eventually opening a small gallery showcasing local artists. Section 9, A Love That Endures. Their home, once filled with the echoes of Sarah's children, was now filled with the joyful chaos of their own 3 children. They raised their children with love, instilling in them the same values of compassion, kindness, and resilience that had shaped their own lives. The years flew by, each one etching lines on their faces and silver in their hair. But their love, weathered by time and tested by hardship, only deepened. They were each other's rock, their safe harbor in the storm. They still shared stolen kisses, whispered secrets in the dark, and found joy in the simple pleasures of life. A shared cup of coffee on a chilly morning, the laughter of their grandchildren, the quiet contentment of a life well lived. Section 10, Forever Soulmates. As they sat on their porch swing, watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple, Dylan reached for Gracie's hand, his rough fingers intertwining with hers. "We made it, Gracie," he whispered, his voice raspy with age but filled with the same love and adoration he had felt all those years ago. Gracie smiled, her eyes still bright and full of life, meeting his. "We did, Dylan," she said, leaning her head against his shoulder. "We did." They sat in comfortable silence, their love a tangible presence that enveloped them like a warm embrace. From the streets to soulmates, theirs was a love story for the ages. A testament to the transformative power of love, the enduring strength of the human spirit, and the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, hope, like love, could blossom in the most unexpected places. They were living proof that sometimes fairy tales did come true, and sometimes strangers didn't just become neighbors, they became soulmates.